Dear community members, as the director of Save a Pet Animal Shelter, I appreciate your help and support in looking after our animals. Despite your efforts, it is beyond our facility's capacity to care for animals with special needs. Without community members who will take these pets into their homes, our shelter can quickly fill up with difficult to adopt cases. This limits our ability to bring in and help more pets. Consider adopting a pet with medical or behavioral needs, or even a senior one. Come into our adoption center and meet some of our longer-term residents. It takes an entire community to save animals' lives. We cannot do it without you. Sincerely, Dr. Sarah Levitz. I board the plane, take off, and climb out into the night sky. Within minutes, the plane shakes hard, and I freeze, feeling like I'm not in control of anything. The left engine starts losing power and the right engine is nearly dead now. Rain hits the windscreen and I'm getting into heavier weather. I'm having trouble keeping up the airspeed. When I reach for the microphone to call the center to declare an emergency, my shaky hand accidentally bumps the carburetor heat levers, and the left engine suddenly regains power. I push the levers to full. Both engines backfire and come to full power. Feeling that the worst is over, I find my whole body loosening up and at ease. "23% of people admit to having shared a fake news story on a popular social networking site, either accidentally or on purpose," according to a 2016 Pew Research Center survey. It's tempting for me to attribute it to people being willfully ignorant. Yet the news ecosystem has become so overcrowded and complicated that I can understand why navigating it is challenging. When in doubt, we need to cross-check storylines ourselves. The simple act of fact-checking prevents misinformation from shaping our thoughts. We can consult websites such as factcheck.org to gain a better understanding of what's true or false, fact or opinion. I believe the second decade of this new century is already very different. There are, of course, still millions of people who equate success with money and power, who are determined to never get off that treadmill despite the costing terms of their well-being, relationships, and happiness. There are still millions desperately looking for the next promotion, the next $1 million payday that they believe will satisfy their longing to feel better about themselves, or silence their dissatisfaction. But both in the West and in emerging economies, there are more people every day who recognize that these are all dead ends, that they are chasing a broken dream, that we cannot find the answer in our current definition of success alone, because as Gertrude Stein once said of Oakland, there is no there there. Attaining the life a person wants is simple. However, most people settle for less than their best because they fail to start the day off right. If a person starts the day with a positive mindset, that person is more likely to have a positive day. Moreover, how a person approaches the day impacts everything else in that person's life. If a person begins their day in a good mood, they will likely continue to be happy at work, and that will often lead to a more productive day in the office. This increased productivity unsurprisingly leads to better work rewards, such as promotions or raises. Consequently, if people want to live the life of their dreams, they need to realize that how they start their day not only impacts that day, but every aspect of their lives. Social relationships benefit from people giving each other compliments now and again because people like to be liked and like to receive compliments. In that respect, social lies such as making deceptive but flattering comments, "I like your new haircut," may benefit mutual relations. Social lies are told for psychological reasons and serve both self-interest and the interest of others. They serve self-interest because liars may gain satisfaction when they notice that their lies please other people, or because they realize that by telling such lies they avoid an awkward situation or discussion. They serve the interest of others because hearing the truth all the time, "You look much older now than you did a few years ago," could damage a person's confidence and self-esteem. Benjamin Franklin once suggested that a newcomer to a neighborhood ask a new neighbor to do him or her a favor, citing an old maxim, "He that has once done you a kindness will be more ready to do you another than he whom you yourself have obliged." In Franklin's opinion, asking someone for something was the most useful and immediate invitation to social interaction. Such asking on the part of the newcomer provided the neighbor with an opportunity to show himself or herself as a good person at first encounter. It also meant that the latter could now ask the former for a favor in return, increasing the familiarity and trust. In that manner, both parties could overcome their natural hesitancy and mutual fear of the stranger. The graph above shows the results of a survey on invention interests in young adults aged 16 to 25 in 2011. One among the 5 invention categories. The highest percentage of male respondents showed interest in inventing consumer products. 2. For health science invention. The percentage of female respondents was twice as high as that of male respondents. 3. The percentage point gap between males and females was the smallest in environmental invention. 4. For web-based invention, the percentage of female respondents was less than half that of male respondents. 5. In the category of other invention, the percentage of respondents from each gender group was less than 10%. Mary Cassatt was born in Pennsylvania, the fourth of 5 children born in her well-to-do family. Mary Cassatt and her family traveled throughout Europe in her childhood. Her family did not approve when she decided to become an artist, but her desire was so strong, she bravely took the steps to make art her career. She studied first in Philadelphia and then went to Paris to study painting. She admired the work of Edgar Degas and was able to meet him in Paris, which was a great inspiration. Though she never had children of her own, she loved children and painted portraits of the children of her friends and family. Cassatt lost her sight at the age of 70 and, sadly, was not able to paint during the later years of her life. Photography Walks Program. Have you ever wanted to learn how to take photographs using your smartphone or tablet? Then come and join us on our exciting Photography Walks program. All ages and skill levels are welcome. Date: from September 21st to September 23rd. Time: 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Place: Evergreen State Park. Ticket price: $30 per person, including a photo album. Notice: wear comfortable clothes and walking shoes. Water and snacks are provided for free. Registration should be made at least 2 days before the program begins. Please visit our website for more information. Robotic vacuum cleaner. User manual. Charging the battery. It takes 90 minutes for the battery to be fully charged. The robotic vacuum can operate for 40 minutes when fully charged. While the robotic vacuum is charging, the battery indicator light blinks red. When fully charged, the battery indicator light turns blue. Operating the vacuum. Press the power button to turn on the vacuum. The following cleaning modes are provided: auto mode, spot mode, and manual mode. Turning off the vacuum will reset all settings except for the current time. The time can be set only with the remote control. There are many methods for finding answers to the mysteries of the universe, and science is only one of these. However, science is unique. Instead of making guesses, scientists follow a system designed to prove if their ideas are true or false. They constantly re-examine and test their theories and conclusions. Old ideas are replaced when scientists find new information that they cannot explain. Once somebody makes a discovery, others review it carefully before using the information in their own research. This way of building new knowledge on older discoveries ensures that scientists correct their mistakes. Armed with scientific knowledge, people build tools and machines that transform the way we live, making our lives much easier and better. Technological development often forces change, and change is uncomfortable. This is one of the main reasons why technology is often resisted and why some perceive it as a threat. It is important to understand our natural hate of being uncomfortable when we consider the impact of technology on our lives. As a matter of fact, most of us prefer the path of least resistance. This tendency means that the true potential of new technologies may remain unrealized because, for many, starting something new is just too much of a struggle. Even our ideas about how new technology can enhance our lives may be encouraged by this natural desire for comfort. Mobility provides a change to the environment for journalists. Newspaper stories, television reports, and even early online reporting prior to communication technology such as tablets and smartphones required one central place to which a reporter would submit his or her news story for printing, broadcast, or posting. Now, though, a reporter can shoot video, record audio, and type directly on their smartphones or tablets and post a news story instantly. Journalists do not need to report to a central location where they all contact sources, type, or edit video. A story can be instantaneously written, shot, and made available to the entire world. The news cycle, and thus the job of the journalist, never takes a break. Thus the 24-hour news cycle that emerged from the rise of cable TV is now a thing of the past. The news cycle is really a constant. In an experiment, researchers presented participants with two photos of faces and asked participants to choose the photo that they thought was more attractive, and then handed participants that photo. Using a clever trick inspired by stage magic, when participants received the photo, it had been switched to the photo not chosen by the participant, the less attractive photo. Remarkably, most participants accepted this photo as their own choice, and then proceeded to give arguments for why they had chosen that face in the first place. This revealed a striking mismatch between our choices and our ability to rationalize outcomes. The same finding has since been observed in various domains including taste for jam and financial decisions. All improvement in your life begins with an improvement in your mental pictures. If you talk to unhappy people and ask them what they think about most of the time, you will find that, almost without fail, they think about their problems, their bills, their negative relationships, and all the difficulties in their lives. But when you talk to successful, happy people, you find that they think and talk most of the time about the things that they want to be and have. They think and talk about the specific action steps they can take to get them. They dwell continually on vivid, exciting pictures of what their goals will look like when they are realized, and what their dreams will look like when they come true. Vision is like shooting at a moving target. Plenty of things can go wrong in the future, and plenty more can change in unpredictable ways. When such things happen, you should be prepared to make your vision conform to the new reality. For example, a businessman's optimistic forecast can be blown away by a cruel recession, or by aggressive competition in ways he could not have foreseen. Or in another scenario, his sales can skyrocket and his numbers can get even better. In any event, he will be foolish to stick to his old vision in the face of new data. There is nothing wrong in modifying your vision or even abandoning it as necessary. Many of us live our lives without examining why we habitually do what we do and think what we think. Why do we spend so much of each day working? Why do we save up our money? If pressed to answer such questions, we may respond by saying, because that's what people like us do. But there is nothing natural, necessary, or inevitable about any of these things. Instead, we behave like this because the culture we belong to compels us to. As we try to find answers to the questions of cultural diversity, we realize that cultures are not about being right or wrong. The culture that we inhabit shapes how we think, feel, and act in the most pervasive ways. It is not in spite of our culture that we are who we are, but precisely because of it. We always have a lot of bacteria around us, as they live almost everywhere in air, soil, in different parts of our bodies, and even in some of the foods we eat. But do not worry. Most bacteria are good for us. Some live in our digestive systems and help us digest our food, and some live in the environment and produce oxygen so that we can breathe and live on Earth. But unfortunately, a few of these wonderful creatures can sometimes make us sick. This is when we need to see a doctor, who may prescribe medicines to control the infection. But what exactly are these medicines, and how do they fight with bacteria? These medicines are called antibiotics, which means against the life of bacteria. Antibiotics either kill bacteria or stop them from growing. To be successful, you need to understand the vital difference between believing you will succeed and believing you will succeed easily. Put another way, it's the difference between being a realistic optimist and an unrealistic optimist. Realistic optimists believe they will succeed, but also believe they have to make success happen through things like careful planning and choosing the right strategies. They recognize the need for giving serious thought to how they will deal with obstacles. This preparation only increases their confidence in their own ability to get things done. Unrealistic optimists, on the other hand, believe that success will happen to them, that the universe will reward them for all their positive thinking, or that somehow they will be transformed overnight into the kind of person for whom obstacles don't exist anymore. Have you ever thought about how you can tell what somebody else is feeling? Sometimes, friends might tell you that they are feeling happy or sad, but even if they do not tell you, I am sure that you would be able to make a good guess about what kind of mood they are in. You might get a clue from the tone of voice that they use. For example, they may raise their voice if they are angry or talk in a shaky way if they are scared. The other main clue you might use to tell what a friend is feeling would be to look at his or her facial expression. We have lots of muscles in our faces which enable us to move our face into lots of different positions. This happens spontaneously when we feel a particular emotion. After the technical rehearsal, the theater company will meet with the director, technical managers, and stage manager to review the rehearsal. Usually there will be comments about all the good things about the performance. Individuals should make mental and written notes on the positive comments about their own personal contributions as well as those directed toward the crew and the entire company. Building on positive accomplishments can reduce nervousness. In addition to positive comments, the director and manager will undoubtedly have comments about what still needs work. Sometimes, these negative comments can seem overwhelming and stressful. Time pressures to make these last minute changes can be a source of stress. Take each suggestion with good humor and enthusiasm and tackle each task one by one. In a study, psychologist Lawrence Steinberg of Temple University and his co-author, psychologist Margot Gardner divided 306 people into 3 age groups: young adolescents, with a mean age of 14, older adolescents, with a mean age of 19, and adults, aged 24 and older. Subjects played a computerized driving game in which the player must avoid crashing into a wall that appears, without warning, on the roadway. Steinberg and Gardner randomly assigned some participants to play alone or with 2 same-age peers looking on. Older adolescents scored about 50% higher on an index of risky driving when their peers were in the room, and the driving of early adolescents was fully twice as reckless when other young teens were around. In contrast, adults behaved in similar ways regardless of whether they were on their own or observed by others. The presence of peers makes adolescents, but not adults, more likely to take risks. A quick look at history shows that humans have not always had the abundance of food that is enjoyed throughout most of the developed world today. In fact, there have been numerous times in history when food has been rather scarce. As a result, people used to eat more when food was available, since the availability of the next meal was questionable. Overeating in those times was essential to ensure survival, and humans received satisfaction from eating more than was needed for immediate purposes. On top of that, the highest pleasure was derived from eating the most calorie-dense foods, resulting in a longer-lasting energy reserve. Even though there are parts of the world where, unfortunately, food is still scarce, most of the world's population today has plenty of food available to survive and thrive. However, this abundance is new, and your body has not caught up, still naturally rewarding you for eating more than you need and for eating the most calorie-dense foods. These are innate habits and not simple addictions. They are self-preserving mechanisms initiated by your body, ensuring your future survival, but they are irrelevant now. Therefore, it is your responsibility to communicate with your body regarding the new environment of food abundance and the need to strengthen the inborn habit of overeating. Two students met their teacher at the start of a track through a forest. He gave them instructions to follow the path to its end, in preparation for a test later in the week. The path split into two. One was clear and smooth, the other had fallen logs and other obstacles in the way. One student chose to avoid the obstacles, taking the easier path to the end. He felt clever as he ran without stopping. The second student chose to tackle the obstacles, battling through every challenge in his path. The student who chose the easy path finished first and felt proud of himself. "I'm glad I chose to avoid the rocks and logs. They were only there to slow me down," he thought to himself. The second student arrived at the finish feeling tired and regretting the path he had chosen. The teacher smiled at them both. He requested that they join him at a specific location in 3 days. When they arrived, they could see a ravine that was a few meters wide. The students looked at their teacher and he said just one word: "Jump." The first student looked at the distance and his heart sank. The teacher looked at him. "What's wrong? This is the leap to greatness. Everything that you've done until now should have prepared you for this moment." The student shrugged his shoulders and walked away, knowing he hadn't prepared adequately for greatness. The second student looked at the teacher and smiled. He knew now that the obstacles that had been placed in his path were part of his preparation. By choosing to overcome challenges, not avoid them, he was ready to make the leap. He ran as fast as he could and launched himself into the air. He made it across